Right. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us today for one of our Spotlight series webinars focused on boosting enrollment. Today's panel discussion is going to be centered all around what it takes to win in a competitive market. So I'll introduce the speakers in a moment, but first, please note that we will be taking questions from participants at the end of the presentation. So please use the chat box to drop your questions and we'll be sure to answer them later on. Okay, great. We at 3 Enrollment Marketing, we live for this. We live for the mission of higher education, supporting as many students as possible to find their best fit college or university, to ultimately support all communities throughout the world and impact higher education. With us today, we have 2 panelists from 2 small Northeast private institutions. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce them to all of you today, as I have the pleasure of working very closely with them and their teams as their account executive. Bill Boffi, Vice President for Enrollment at Assumption University in Massachusetts, and Christine Sneva, Associate Vice President for Enrollment Management at Marymount Manhattan College in New York City. While we just ended our first enrollment cycle with Assumption University, their results are proof that what it takes to win changes. And with the right enrollment and marketing strategy, and of course the right team, big results in a highly competitive market are achievable. And with Marymount Manhattan College, we just finished our 3rd cycle together. And while we've experienced incremental growth together each year, this partnership is really a testament to that long-term investment that it takes to achieve big growth goals, and oftentimes critical to see some big growth. So Bill, I'll pass it off to you so you can take a moment to introduce yourself, and then we'll hear from Christine.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Patricia. I'm thrilled to be here. My name is Bill Boffi. I'm Vice President for Enrollment at Assumption University. Assumption is in Worcester, Massachusetts, which is a super underrated college town, and Assumption is on a major growth trajectory, thanks in part to our great partnership with 3E. So delighted to be here today and delighted to be partnering with 3E. Look forward to discussing winning in a competitive environment.
Thanks, Bill.
Hi, everyone. I'm Christine Sneva. I have over 20 years of experience at admissions, financial aid, and student affairs in both graduate and undergraduate enrollment management. I've worked at a large state university, an Ivy League institution, religious university, and now a small private liberal arts college. So I have lots of different environments across the industry. And I'll talk a little bit more about Marymount in just a minute, but such a pleasure to be here. And thanks so much for joining.
Thanks, Christine. And we are your hosts, Patricia, Maben, and myself, Jennifer Kanellis. I'm Vice President for Client Services and Enrollment Strategy at 3 Enrollment Marketing. And my team is relentless at setting strategy, tracking results, and doing really whatever it takes to make sure that we achieve our partners' enrollment targets. Patricia?
Great. Thanks, everyone, for being here. I'm Patricia Maben. I am the president and co-founder of 3 Enrollment Marketing. And I woke up today and I thought, oh, I've got that webinar. And I thought, I'm so excited because I'm talking with 3 of the most interesting people today. You're going to enjoy Bill, you're going to enjoy Christine, you're going to love Jenn. Across the 4 of us, we have hundreds of years. Just Bill and I together is hundreds, right, Bill? But you know, I was thinking we're going to have a good discussion here today. And I will say, if you will have so much to learn from this team that we have on here today. And on top of it, little do you know, Bill and Christine both have high bar on sense of humor. So They are both gifted in humor, which we know to be successful in enrollment, you better have a good sense of humor. If you don't, get out now, because you have to have a good sense of humor in this industry. So I'm excited to be with all of you today. I'm excited to have Bill and Christine here as our co-hosts, and Jenn, of course, is one of my favorite people in the world. So I'm happy to be here today, dialed in from upstate New York, where I've been working from my home office since the mid-2000s. Been working in enrollment management, enrollment marketing, working with colleges across the country for, this is the first year I get to say, over 30 years. So happy to be here today. I'll introduce you a little bit to 3 Enrollment, and then I'll pass it over to the rest of our team here today to go through some really important questions and details around what it takes, which is not easy, not easy at all. So we all know that. Thanks. So who we are, why we're here. 3 Enrollment is been here since 2019, and our top priority is results. We're dogged on results. We built the company to be all in with our clients as partners with results in good times and bad. And the reason for that is that at 3E, we live for this. You'll come to know us when you work with us. We're deeply passionate about higher education, deeply passionate about its ability to raise society, communities, individuals. And that's what gets us up every day, whether we're deep enrollment experts or deep marketing experts or data people, or marketing automation experts, or strategists, or our writers and designers. We are always focused on how can we make higher education successful. We're problem solvers. Bill and Christine experienced this firsthand. We are problem solvers. We have a growth mindset. Talk to Jenn Kanellis. She doesn't believe that anything can't work. Everything will work. We can be successful. And to be problem solvers, you have to be comprehensive. You have to be okay with disrupting the status quo. You have to be willing to try new things, and some work and some don't. But to be a problem solver, you have to be a risk taker. And in this industry, to win, we believe that's really important. And then last but not least, cutting edge when it counts. Most companies out there that are tech enabled will tell you they're cutting edge. So we just have a small little play on words, which is when it counts. And what that means is when it counts for enrollment goals. We want to innovate when it makes sense to change the trajectory of the enrollment goal. We want to use marketing and tech the right way at the right time where it makes a difference for the enrollment goal. We know that Bill and Christine and others of our clients have only so many resources to help make a difference in their results. So we want to differentiate with our clients in a way without just adding lots and lots of bells and whistles and costs that don't make a clear impact. So those are our values. That's why we're here. I'm excited to introduce you to some of the discussion topics today. And I know Jenn will kick us off after Bill and Christine talk about their institutions and what their institutions are about.
Thanks, Patricia. Yes, let's kick things off with Bill. It would be really helpful just to share some more context with the audience on Assumption University and what makes you unique.
So I think what makes Assumption unique is that we are student-centered, and I think lots of schools, especially small schools, would say that. But I think our new president has pushed us to really think about what that means specifically here at Assumption. That every institution of higher education cares about their students, but what is it that we care about? And we care about the development of the whole person, and understanding of the whole world, and a commitment to not create a false choice for students between career preparation and lifelong learning or liberal arts preparation. We don't believe that those are separate. We think those can be achieved at the same time and can be achieved here. They are achieved here. We provide students with the technical skills they need to get their first job and with the enduring skills to be successful over their career and in all different aspects of life. That's really what we're committed to. Again, every small college says community. We know it to be true here in a very special way. Our mission also means commitment to service and a commitment to teaching excellence that is really gives us full confidence as an enrollment team.
Thanks, Bill. And Christine, talk to us about Marymount Manhattan College.
Yes, who is MMC? Well, we believe we're small but mighty. And how can you not be mighty if you're not in New York City? Our priority is really to innovate. And by doing that, or what we mean by that is creating and enhancing programs that exist because we're in New York City. It is the center of everything that we do. And in New York City, it's art, it's performing arts, especially for us, musical theater and acting, film and media, business. You come to Marymount because you're coming to New York City. And so all of our programs guarantee a New York City seminar in the first year to make sure that we're connecting every single student to the city. And, one of the many ways that, we are committed to student success that's outside of, that also includes, our social justice programs, how that's committed to what we're teaching in our gen ed requirements. And like, Bill said, for Assumption University, student success is defined to the individual, and we can do that because we are small. And that's the very reason why, a student would come to a small college. But, when you think about Marymount Manhattan, Manhattan is in the very title of our college. And so everything we do is centered around why you come to New York City, and then why does that set you up to be successful at Marymount.
Excellent. Thanks, Christine. All right, we're going to shift gears. We're going to dive in. We're going to talk about results. So, we'll first just ask you to share with us a little bit more about your results this cycle. How are you and your teams and your campus community feeling about this year's results in, comparison to years prior?
The campus community feels great about the results that we've been able to achieve. And I might say, actually, that the results emanate from the campus community feeling good. Like, I think that's the biggest, most important thing that allows us to be successful. And our new president came in last year and changed a couple of key things while remaining consistent with the Assumption tradition, which is generations of academic excellence. He changed just a couple of things that made a difference. He listened to students on a very deep level. He signaled that the community was going to be truly inclusive. And he asked us as a community to break away from the COVID bunker mentality and think about growth. And I think that, along with this partnership with 3E and the team that we built and the plan that we built as a result, has allowed us to have a really good year. The results are much better than we expected. I remember about this time last year, we were setting goals together, and I somehow convinced you that we could reach a 25% improvement in deposits year over year, and lo and behold, we went well above that. So I look forward to another audacious goal this year and exceeding that as well. But we're yeah. I know I'm gonna have to fight you on that a little bit, Jen, but that's okay.
No, it's a fun process to set goals. We like to kick the tires on them a lot. And, I think that we talk a lot about the power that a marketing campaign can have, but also the power of a partnership. And so I just have to give a nod to you because it's been a really strong partnership. It's not been assumptions saying, this is all on you, get us there. It's been a lot of investment on your campus too. So
Well, that's nice of you to say. I mean, Patricia said problem solver. I would say I'm more of a problem creator. But
he's got a good sense of humor, Patricia.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna say we have the pressure to be funny now, so now I'm real.
Oh, please. That's like, it's like rolls off your tongue.
So Christine, how's the community feeling at MMC?
Great. Actually, today, every Tuesday, I report into the president's cabinet, which I also sit on. And, every single week I get a chance to just reflect on where we are right now, end of year, where we were last year, how did last year feel compared to this year? And certainly, I mean, I wouldn't be on this panel if things were not as positive as they are. And I will say that, the partnership with 3E has been a long game for us in particular, obviously being with 3E for the last 3 years. And believe me, they did not ask me to say all of this either, but I think Jenn, like at every single time we would like review the numbers and go through things, we were like, I was just like waiting for the other shoe to drop. And it's just been a very positive trajectory, but also a good reminder of why you make some of these long-term investments. And I will say that Jenn and I have had many of disagreements, and she will push on you and push on everything that, she thinks that could be either, hurting your results or helping your results. And, I just appreciate that because you need a good sounding board and a smart partner. This year, our applications did increase. We set those goals, ourselves. The overall enrollment objectives obviously are in partnership with the president and the CFO and others, but we're up 22% right now with our net deposits. And what we've done is a really good job of making sure that every single metric that could tell us whether or not somebody is either thinking about coming or thinking about not coming, and really being able to be very, very proactive about that. So we've been able to be consistently ahead to end of year, which for us means over 100 more students than what we were expecting, which is wonderful, especially coming out of COVID, where many of us took such a deep enrollment hit. But I will also mention that our transfer population has become increasingly critical. And then also our flagship programs, which continue to fill in, where we're starting to see, downward trends, especially for small liberal arts colleges. So we tackle a lot of different strategies. I was going to mention when I was talking about Marymount, the location spotlights and how we've just been hitting that, over and over and over again, and how successful that has been for us. And now that's, also moving toward different types of academic programming. Our provost last year changed the gen ed requirement, which has been huge for, especially for the new students coming in terms of their flexibility. So, it's sort of this, downstream of change that can really impact, again, how your enrollment trend is going. And we knew this was going to be a yield game from the very beginning. So it continues to be that, not that other people aren't focused on it. But, there's only so much change you can make in a short window of time. And it's right now for all of us. And then it was just nonstop on a yield strategy. So that's really been a reason why we've been able to stay, above target. So.
Well, congrats to both of you. Christine, I absolutely appreciate the thought partnership, and love that you love to be pushed, because that's great. It's some good, healthy tension.
Yeah, and when I don't answer an email, Jenn knows how to reach me by phone. Just
I save
she never lets it off.
I saved the email I sent Bill, but he didn't reply to me. I'm gonna show it to him next year. Yeah, we do like to push. It's really interesting to hear you both talk about that, in particular Jenn herself, because unless you really get to know us as a company, you may or may not know that the reflection of the 3 and the E is a balance of deep enrollment expertise with strong modern marketing chops. Our view is you can't win without both working really well together. So having that partnership with you is really important. You both have deep enrollment chops. Jenn has deep enrollment chops, and then we work with your marketing and our marketing to make sure that we're getting you out there. So thanks for all the good words and thoughts on that.
Yeah. And Christine, thanks for, you kind of scratched the surface a little bit in terms of the amount of change that you brought to the team. I know you'll go into that deeper because it's such a testament to, yes, change needs to happen, not just from a marketing perspective, but also from a operational team recruitment perspective. And I've been in awe watching both of your teams really just turn it up a notch and be real modern recruiters too. So it's been a pleasure. All right, so let's talk a little bit. We're going to shift gears here.
Yeah, so I get to ask you both, when you think about the last recruitment cycle and you think about your market and your institutional environment, whether it's looking inward or looking around your market, and you think about what you have both achieved in the last year, what do you think the market and institutional challenges were the ones you faced the most, the ones that you really had to grapple with and maybe even be nimble and make decisions quickly around to overcome them? Christine, you go first.
Darn it. No, I would say, especially for us, and I don't know, Bill, you may agree with this, being in the Northeast, our local population is not growing. And we know that, we've known that for a while, and we're really feeling it. And so, what's been a real challenge for somebody in enrollment is, you're seeing all this research, you're hearing all about it. It's this huge fear you're having about how much of this is going to impact your institution. And, others know it, the provost, the other president, the leadership, they're hearing it as well. And I think that, the challenge is, what are we going to do about this? There's only so much in our control. How much of that do we understand institutionally, obviously, as an industry? And then what do we do about it? And so obviously having to think through and strategize, especially with you, on where are these other markets coming from, what data are we supposed to be using right now, what's important to us, and then again, what do we do with it? So I try to put in as much control as possible, because once it is rolling through the recruiting cycle, there's only really so much that you can do in terms of growing that market. So we've had to make some new investments in areas that we may not see a payoff for another 2-3 years. But we know that it's worked in the past in a very sort of, I would say, lighter way. And now we're talking about, okay, if, what do we really want this, population and this student composition to really look like at Marymount? Why would this population actually come to Marymount and not somewhere else? And how do we make sure we get on their short list? And so, those steps, I think, is how I've been trying to frame strategies and discussions. And then, as always, we have to fight for resources. And that's always a big challenge. But, if you've at least been socializing, starting those conversations, I think that at least at my institution, that has really helped. And I've learned from my other experiences when I didn't do that, there was a lot less in my control.
Yeah,
Well, I would agree, Christine, about the demographic growth. And, you know, one of the things I appreciate about 3E is that they haven't scared us with the demographic cliff, and that's why we should be spending the money on the partnership. In fact, they've gone in the other direction, which I find to be right and refreshing, that there is growth opportunity. It means new markets. It means whatever work we can do to increase the college going rate within our communities that we serve well. But we can't be just paralyzed by the apparently shrinking demographics up here in the Northeast. That there are ways to combat it, and that is certainly the dominant challenge of this past cycle and then cycles going forward. And I think, you know, the other challenge is, because it's so, the marketplace is so competitive, even frantic, because of the fear that has been perpetuated by everyone in the industry, that the noise just keeps getting louder, right? That there's just so much attention span for the prospects and their parents and the school counselors, and everyone's filling it. And so I think having a plan with regard to communicating, and 3E's plan struck us as right, to be consistent in delivering content, because you get pushed down in inboxes pretty quickly, to be concise, to be direct, to be actionable. Like that direction felt right, and it was it helped inform the way that we communicate. And I agree with Patricia's point that it takes both. It takes you know, modern marketing, it takes recruitment chops, and certainly I feel like that's part of the reason why we've been able to do okay so far. I think the focus on parents needs to continue, and I think there are opportunities to innovate going forward. I think this year the scare and the panic is around FAFSA simplification, and that change that brings a whole bunch of uncertainty, but that's an opportunity for institutions to set themselves apart, and that's certainly our intent to do that. And the other one that seems right there for us is AI, and I look forward to figuring out what the application of that is with the help of our tech savvy partners. So
you both really exemplified something that's really important, I think, to win in today's market, and that is seeing the opportunity and seeing it with optimism. Bill specifically mentioned optimism, and so did Christine, is having that optimistic view that we can find new places to go. We can solve for this. We can come up with new strategies. I'm listening to you, and there's good nuggets in there, but the most compelling piece coming from both is that understanding that there is opportunity in what some people just gravitate towards the negatives so quickly, and it's comfy there. And going to the optimistic side can be uncomfortable because there's a lot of unknowns, but you're both sharing that. It's really important points. Strong leadership for both of you as well to do that. And it sometimes feels like you're rowing backwards, I'm sure.
Yes, it does.
So data, everyone likes to talk about data, and data is important. It has a really important place in the work that we do. And we're curious, what types of data did you evaluate or leverage this past cycle to make better data informed decisions or optimizations along the way?
So for us, we did a lot of analysis this time last year. And what it came down to is aid filing rate and whether or not people visited the campus. And so that set us on a strategic plan that either one of those metrics meant very proactive research or proactive outreach from the team, the financial aid team, if we're promising, we care about you, student success is important, every single student is important, every single student was able to meet with one-on-one with financial aid, some of them multiple times because either the parent couldn't join or they wanted someone else to join again, which we did, and we did it over and over and over again. And anytime there was a service available, a student can know who they're making an appointment with, know why they're making that appointment with that person. And that just became another metric that or another initiative that we could see working. And so again, that it would go back to, after 2 weeks, we go back to the snapshots and the aid filing rate is all of a sudden going up. And we're also getting a lot of context from financial aid team and the admissions team saying, somebody thought they did this, and then this, somebody didn't click on that button, and then they didn't add you to this and it's such an arduous process. It's confusing to almost anyone. And Bill mentioned, that the FAFSA process is changing, which again is, that's that word optimism is going to have to really play a key role there, even though it's again, another uncertain thing that we're going to have to, tackle as an industry. But, again, those two data points couldn't have been truer for us. And one thing I will mention that maybe others want to also go back to their data is that we found that people weren't wanting to come to campus until they were admitted. And so now that has completely changed our timeline. And hopefully, obviously, we'll see, another, year where we see those numbers going back to where they were, in 2018, 2017, which is an ultimate goal for us. But, that right there set so many different types of initiatives that we found really worked for us, how we were creating incentives for people coming to campus, that experience when they got to campus. I mean, then it got into the details. And I think that's one of the big reasons why we have been seeing so much success. And, when we were looking at certain programs or they were lower than where we were at this point last year, Jenn would come up with, all right, here's another, pivot that we need to make, or, what about this? Maybe this will, remind people why they have to come to campus in the first place. And so it really does help, once you see what is important to you, data wise, it then, informed so many other types of things that, again, you can have control over and actually do something about.
All right. And the theme of optimism, Christine, you even approached the analysis optimistically and said, what's working well, and let's double down on that. And so you did. And that is one way that someone can approach looking at data. The inverse of that is looking at it with what's not working well and trying to address those things. And so, yes, there's a healthy balance of both, right? But leading with what you're really good at or what is working well and doubling down on that, I've seen in my seat a proven success approach. So you shared a lot, though. There's a lot of good tidbits of information there.
I get excited about data.
I know. Could have a whole session on just data.
Well, Christine,
Bill?
I think that's a great answer. I think the aid filing and visits certainly two of my favorites. And I was warned by one of my teammates to go easy on this one because I get a little carried away with data too. I think everyone on this call probably gets that. So I would like to reframe it just a little to say, if I had to build an enrollment plan on a desert island with only a couple of data points, what would I use? And if you cannot get distracted by why I'd be building an enrollment plan on a desert island, I would say that the data points I'd look to first would be yield by county and yield by academic rating and financial rating. Those to me tell us where and with whom we're doing well and where and with whom we're struggling. So that those give us a lot. And we also found that the 3 prospect level engagement data helped us, that was particularly actionable. So that was a new find for us this cycle.
Bill, I imagine when you're looking at the yield by county, yield by academic, you're looking at those data points because you realize that those are the most critical areas, right? If something breaks in one of those areas, it needs special attention. Was that the mindset?
Yep, that's exactly right. Or if we're doing particularly well, it may tell us something that we can scale in other areas or with other financial aid cells.
And I don't know, I haven't looked at all the folks that we have on here today, but just something both of you mentioned that I'll just add a little bit to, which is this question around aid filing rate. So the percentage of students who have applied that have filed for aid, the number of aid applicants that you have. Bill mentioned the yield by county, yield by certain pieces, and balancing that, right? Rates versus volumes, volumes. And I've seen kind of more, I would say, greener enrollment leaders come on, and they're so focused on the rates, right? The rates, that they forget how important the volume balancing in there is. So having that a higher filing rate, but being way down in the raw number is no good, and then vice versa. So you're both exceptionally good at balancing rates and volumes. And where do you find that sweet spot for that particular county, or that sweet spot for that particular academic program is really where I think your secret sauce is, and making sure that you're moving, your teams forward in your enrollment growth.
Shifting away from data, maybe data has something to do with this, but what are some of the key initiatives that you implemented this year to attract and enroll best fit students?
So, and Jen knows this well, what I was faced with, and I'm going into my third cycle at Marymount this year. The first year was sort of, let it run. Let me see what I'm going to have to start adjusting. And then, it was very clear very early on that a change of culture had to happen first. And that was really, that can be very difficult. You have to go through a lot of change management. And that's also exhausting. But, to me, it was these incremental changes that I had to start thinking about, and then thoughtfully, slowly starting to implement, depending on where we were at in the cycle and how I needed to prioritize that. So, the first one, Jen mentioned operational efficiencies. It had to come in the form of the people who were actually on the team, and that had to have a lot of change. We went through our own resignation. What are they called? The Great Resignation, or whatever that was. A bunch of people leaving, right? And so I had to look at, what were the typical roles and the obviously culture around that, and then what did we needed to start adjusting. So I mentioned outreach a couple of times. The team was so used to people just coming to us and asking us questions. There wasn't that, recruitment mentality of you actually have to go and get them. And you're going to have to jump up and down, scream and shout to remind people that Marymount Manhattan is here. And these are the things that we want you to do. And so that was hard on the team because of what they were used to. And then we had to also distribute the labor in that they were on the road for months at a time. And then now we go deep, dark into a hole and start reading files, endlessly. And so recruitment can't stop. And so we changed how the reader flow was working. We changed how the final decisions had to get made from a system standpoint, all the way to, no, you're on the road and you're back. And this is your division. This is the division you own. Here are the students that are going to help you recruit. Here are the faculty that are going to help you recruit. And you're going to know every single day who you need to contact and why, and who you don't need to contact at that particular time is also really important, because you don't want to inundate people, obviously, because then they'll start to ignore you. So we wanted to make sure that there was that really thoughtful outreach happening, starting from where your data, what we had to care about, to, okay, what are some of these new initiatives that we want to start to bring on? And I mentioned before, yield strategy starting very, very early in November. Even for admissions counselors that have worked here for over 5 years, that was a difficult change of mindset for people. But once I got everyone on my side with all of this, and they started to see, some really positive results, they were also becoming more and more creative and really, really owning their division. So we moved away from territory management. Everyone is now assigned to a division. They become, have a level of expertise that's not just about a program or the industry and sciences or business, but they know who to reach out to help in those recruitment efforts, because we're a whole team. And so that's also been, a very quick initiative that we brought on. And then again, then we started to see the results we wanted to see. More people coming to campus. We've been overflowing with our visits. We've gone so far ahead to completely redo our welcome center. And as Patricia and Jenn know, there's a very large screen. That's the first thing you see. And we welcome everybody. And that's such a wonderful reminder from the president all the way down to the people who work in the back office every single day, that we have people here. And that experience is going to be super critical. So even something like that, because somebody had that idea to put that up, is just this reminder of what we're all doing day to day and how important it's going to be, for these 10 families that are coming in and visiting us. I'll just mention one thing that Bill mentioned, which is parents. So I did the insane thing this year and gave all admitted student parents my personal cell phone number. And the calls and texts that I get are the ones that aren't sure how to navigate getting an answer. And we can be saying you're putting everything out on the website, you're sending all the emails, everyone's typing their letter and sending the letter out. It's still going to get missed somewhere. And so, if I had to do it all over again, I would still do it, because I learned so much about where the gaps were that I would have never known. And everybody just said, well, I sent them that email. So those were some of the initiatives that we had this year that I thought were really successful, or at least we started, and we were very thankful it worked out.
Christine, I love that you started off with culture. Like, you knew culture needed to change, and what every initiative that you kind of bulleted off, and there were a lot. You're probably just leaving a ton off the table, but the ones that you did name, you said that when people started to see their impact or the results of it, that's when you got buy-in, and that's what changed the culture. Like, it is that, and I commend you. It's been an incredible year, but there was a lot of initiatives, so congrats.
So I don't love this question, since my main/only competency is hyper-competitiveness. So giving away ideas is not really what I do. I like to share them in this tight circle of trust. But I will say that Christine, I love your answer and giving your cell number out. I'm up for that challenge. I think we should challenge other enrollment management leaders to do it as well. And I also agree with the point. Maybe I could come up with my own answers, I realize, but the point about yield starting earlier is something that our dean picked up on early in the cycle last year. And we've embraced it to the point that I've been sending this text to my team with this super cringy hashtag of July is yield season. And I don't think that's helping culture, but I can list a couple of things that we did and are doing, and I'm going to mix in some bad ideas, so this way no one, you don't know which are which, and you take the bad ones. So one of the things we did was ask the entire team last summer at this time some specific questions about what student-centered enrollment excellence looks like, and the ideas that we were able to harvest from that were incredible. So just an inclusive, collaborative approach to enrollment plan building, I think, was big. The other thing we did was give our counselors and school counselors real discretion over financial aid. So that we feel like had an impact. We also actively look for ways to help school counselors, and our offer is sort of one level removed from a direct payoff, so it feels a little less self-serving. We chopped our travel territories up to be much smaller so that we could do individual student recruitment. You mentioned focus on reaching parents. And the other thing we did was offer many more tour opportunities, including an evening tour. So those are some of the things we did this past cycle.
Yeah, those are all really important points. I hope everyone's listening and writing. I'm writing everything down. I'm gonna put some of it out on LinkedIn, because there's so much important information that you're sharing here. A big theme is focus, like really focusing and defining. I love that phrase, Bill, defining what success is, and having everyone contribute. And both of you are having clearly the team building is a big part of what you're both talking about, and it is highly underrated, its impact.
So our time is up. We want to thank everybody for coming. Bottom line, you might find yourselves in a highly competitive market as well, but success is possible. And we hope that with Christine and Bill's tips, you took some nuggets away that you can implement on your own campuses.
Thank
All
you
right,
so
great.
much, everyone. Thank you, Bill and Christine, for your time today. Congratulations on everything that you've done. And we know, right, next cycle is upon you. Bill already said it. He already told his team it's yield season now. Christine said the same thing. So we wish you lots of success, and everyone who's on today, we wish you great results, and hopefully coming back to your office with some new ideas from this important and talented group here.
Thank you for having us, Patricia.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jen.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you both. Take care.